Hello students, today we are going to start the first chapter of biology of 9th class, that is fundamental unit of life, and we are going to start the first part of the chapter. Whenever we start any chapter, we always need to understand the meaning of the name of the chapter. So let's understand the meaning of the name of the chapter, and the name is fundamental unit of life. Let's understand what is the meaning of fundamental. The meaning of fundamental is the basic thing, any basic thing by which the life is made up of. So in this chapter we are going to study about that basic thing by which the complete life is made up of. So and that basic thing is cell. Why do we call cell as the basic thing of life? Let's understand. Because there are lots of organisms present on this earth. There are some plants, there are some animals, microorganisms, different kinds of animals. And all these living beings are made up of actually the small units called cell. And these small units called cell. And without cell, life is not possible. That's why we say that cell is the fundamental unit of life. So let's start the chapter. See on the board. Here I have written the definition of cell. Cell is the structural and functional unit of life. So we call cell, the cell is structural and functional unit of life. Now let's understand why it is structural and functional. Structural we have already understood about that, but why it is called structural? Because the structure of any living being is made up of cell. That's why it is called structural. So let's understand why it is called functional unit of life. We know about the function, that what is the function. Function means all the chemical activities which are going on inside a cell. These all are called functions of the cell. And there are lots of functions in the cell, like because cell functions as a full entity, like respiration, excretion and digestion. All these types of processes are going on cell itself. So that means cell is behaving like a completely developed animal. That's why the cell is called. So cell is called functional unit of life. So there are two things, structure and function, because two things are going on, that it makes a structure of any living being and it conducts all the functions which are going on in any living thing. That's why it is called structural and functional unit of life. Let's understand some qualities of the cell. That first is building blocks. Cells are called building blocks of anything, like we can understand by this. Suppose this is a complete animal. So this animal is made up of different types of cells. So suppose these are cells. So the animal is made up of different types of cells. The cell is capable of independent existence. That means a single cell can survive alone. It doesn't need any other cell for its survival. The third thing is life starts. That means the life starts with a single cell. Suppose this cell is zygotic cells. We know that what is the zygote? Zygote is the cell which is formed by the combination of egg and sperm. So the life can arise from the zygotic cell. Next quality is it is a specific lifespan. That means every living cell has its lifespan, like the animals, like the plants. Next is old cells are replaced by the new cells. That means after every time old cell gets damaged, it is replaced by a, suppose one cell is damaged, it is replaced by a new cell. So these all are the qualities of the cell. Now let's understand what are the three main parts of any cell. Whenever we draw a diagram of a cell, then what are the three parts of the cell? The three parts of the cell are, first, outer boundary wall of the cell, and this outer boundary wall is called plasma membrane. The second part of the cell is called nucleus, and the third part of the cell is called the liquid filled inside the cell, and that liquid is called cytoplasm. Now we need to understand all these three parts. What are these three parts? So if we think about the first thing, that is plasma membrane. Plasma membrane is a thin and delicate membrane which is covering the whole content of the cell and protecting the cell, which is responsible for the transport of material from inside cell to outside cell, transport of material from outside to inside cell. Second part is the nucleus, and it is also surrounded by a membrane. A nucleus have all the hereditary material of the cells. Hereditary material means the material which carry information from one generation to another generation. So that part is called nucleus. The third main part is cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is the liquid filled surrounding the nucleus. That is called cytoplasm. So let's understand about another term, and that term is called protoplasm. So we need to understand what is the difference between cytoplasm and protoplasm. First of all, let's see the definition of protoplasm. Protoplasm is a living content of the cell that is surrounded by a plasma membrane. That means the living content of the cell which is surrounded by the plasma membrane is protoplasm. That means it is a colorless liquid which is filled inside the cell. So the colorless liquid which is filled inside the cell is called protoplasm. We divide the protoplasm in three parts. Protoplasm is divided into three parts. First is cytosol. Second is cell organelle. And third is nucleus. So these all three combining together are making protoplasm. That means, suppose this is cell. Inside the cell, the nucleus with the liquid filled inside, plus all the cell organelles which are present inside the cell, all these things completely making the protoplasm. Means all the cell organelles, nucleus, liquid, all together makes the protoplasm. Second, let's understand about the cytoplasm, and this is the definition of the cytoplasm. Actually, the outside content from the nucleus is called cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is a thick solution composed of water, salts, proteins, cell organelles that fills the cell. That means if we divide the cytoplasm, see here the cytosol and the cell organelle. Let's understand what is the meaning of cytosol. The cytosol is a gel-like substance present inside the cell. The jelly-like substance which is present inside the cell is cytosol. This is called cytosol. But if we add some organelles into it, Now these are called cell organelles. Different parts of the cell are called organelles. I have written it here. Elements present in the cells are called cell organelles. So these are cell organelles, and cytosol is the liquid present in the cell. So this is cell organelle. Right? So now we are able to understand that what is the difference between the protoplasm and the cytoplasm. Protoplasm, in the cytoplasm there are only two things. First is cytosol, second is cell organelle. But in the protoplasm there are three things: cytosol plus cell organelle plus nucleus. That means what the protoplasm is, protoplasm is equal to cytoplasm plus nucleoplasm. Now we need to understand what this nucleoplasm is. Actually, this is nucleus, and a liquid is also filled inside the nucleus. This liquid is called nucleoplasm. So this is the third term. Actually, the protoplasm is made up of cytoplasm plus nucleoplasm. That means the complete liquid present inside the cell is protoplasm. If we remove the nucleoplasm, then outside liquid from the nucleus is cytoplasm. And inside liquid of the nucleus is called nucleoplasm. So this part is clear. Now we come to the discovery of the cell. That means the history of the cell. Let's see who discovered cell. First, the name of the scientist is Robert Hooke. Robert Hooke studied some cork cells, and in the cork cells he has noticed some hexagonal structures like this, and he called these hexagonal structures as cells. So for the first time, scientist Robert Hooke discovered the cell in 1665. The second main part of the cell is nucleus. Let's know who discovered the nucleus. The name is Robert Brown. Robert Brown discovered nucleus in the orchid roots. Orchid is a plant, and in plant roots he studied the roots of the plant, and he discovered the nucleus. The third main part of the cell is protoplasm, and the name protoplasm given by the scientist, and the name of the scientist is J.E. Purkinje. The name of the scientist is J.E. Purkinje. Now let's understand the chemical composition of the cell. Cell is made up of different types of chemicals. That means these all parts are made up of these kinds of chemical compounds. The first is O2, that means oxygen. Oxygen is 65% in the cell. That means the most high quantity of the oxygen is present in the cell. Second is carbon. It is 18.6% in the cell. Third is hydrogen. Fourth is nitrogen. Next is calcium. Next is phosphorus. And last are the other elements. So these are the percentage. The highest percentage is 65%, that is oxygen. Next is carbon, 18.6%. Next is hydrogen 9.5, then 3.2, 1.8, 1.0 and 9%. Let's see what these things are making. Oxygen is making water in the cell, carbon is making carbon dioxide in the cell, hydrogen is making water in the cell, nitrogen is making proteins in the cell, calcium is making the structure of the bones, that means our skeleton is made up of the calcium. The phosphorus is making phosphorus also helps in making the nucleic acids, and other elements are helpful in making hormones and enzymes. So basically, what are the main part of the cell? Chemically, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus and sulfur. From these cells is made up of. And the main part is called carbon because carbon has 4 valency. That means from 4 sides it can combine with other compounds, and this process is called catenation. This process is called catenation. So because it is highly reactive compound, carbon is highly reactive compound because its all 4 valencies are free. So all the living compounds which are present in the cell, they are called organic compounds. Let's understand about the organisms. All the living organisms can be divided into 2 parts. The first part is unicellular organism and second is multicellular organism. So organisms are made up of 2 types, unicellular and multicellular organism. Let's draw the diagram of unicellular. This is a single cell, so this organism is unicellular, and this is, suppose there are lots of cells combining together, so this organism is called multicellular. Actually it is a very big topic. I will explain it in my next video. Let's come to the next part, and that is the most important thing, and many times questions comes in the exam, that what are the smallest cell, what is the largest cell and what is the longest cell. So let's understand. The smallest cell is the mycoplasma and PPLO. The full form of PPLO is pleuropneumonia-like organisms, and the size is 0.1 to 1.5 mu. Mu means micron. So we measure the size of the cell in microns. We will understand about microns also in our next videos. The largest cell is the ostrich cell. The ostrich cell is actually is the size of our palm. That means it is very big egg, and it is 170 to 135 millimeter. Next is the longest cell in plants is Acetabularia, and it is 100 centimeter long. And longest cell in the animals is nerve cell, and it is 1 meter long. So in our next video we will understand about the unicellular and multicellular in detail. Till then, bye bye.